Hey guys, so I figured we'd talk about the Sonic 35th anniversary and really the lack thereof, and just what's been going on with the community lately on my second channel. Just kind of free-flowing thoughts, play a little Sonic games, chill, relax. So if you guys like these type of videos, just subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, we gotta talk about what this 35th anniversary has been so far. So I feel like a lot of people on Twitter, which is kind of like the main driving source of some of the Sonic discussion that goes on, is about how this 35th anniversary kind of sucks and how everyone's just kind of waiting patiently for what's going to happen. It started off with like kind of a bang this year. In January, you know, they released that little sizzle reel for Sonic's 35th. They showcased pretty much everything from the franchise, the movie. They showed a little Sonic X. It was, you know, had some good edits. It was cool to see that. But ever since, the rest of the anniversary has been kind of bad. So far. That's the biggest operative word here, is so far. So I would say that if you're a fan of the franchise, you would probably say that this 35th anniversary has been an absolute disappointment so far. To me, I think it's kind of hard to judge because it hasn't technically been Sonic's birthday yet. But other than Sonic's birthday, the only confirmed project that we know of right now is Sonic Movie 4. So obviously that's going to be big. Like, I'm sure this time next year, we'll all have stuff to talk about. You know what I mean? I mean, it'll actually be after the movie, which I can't believe that we're less than a year away. But, I mean, obviously stuff is going to happen and we just have to be patient. But other than that, I mean, this is the longest time since I started covering the franchise that there really has been nothing going on. Like, there's no confirmed projects on the horizon ever since, like, Sonic Colors Ultimate. I mean, there was a little drought prior to that, but there was a lot of leaks and rumors and things of that nature. But ever since, I'd say, around the release of Sonic Colors Ultimate, there was always a project that we knew of, like a major project. I'm talking Sonic Prime, Sonic Origins, Speed Simulator was pretty big for a while. You had, you know, all these mobile games like Dream Team, Frontiers, 3 updates for Frontiers. Like, there was always something that we were talking about. The next project was, there was never like maybe a month or 2 gap, probably max, before we knew like what the next major thing was, whether, especially with regards to the video games. So being that Frontiers, I can't even believe I'm saying this, it's been probably 4 years since it came out. It's just been kind of jarring to see that we haven't had anything. And I think the biggest thing going into this, and I think one of the biggest factors about that, before we talk about like why this is good, why this is bad, whatever, I think the biggest thing is that right now Sega took some big losses. I think Crossworlds and Rumble were kind of like their big live service bets. You know, they acquired Rovio for like almost $1 billion. And I don't think we've really seen, I don't think the results have really been there yet for Sega. So they acquire Rovio for $1 billion. I don't really know what they've done since. They developed Sonic Rumble, which by all accounts is an absolute flop. Like, just straight up a flop. Like, whatever you think about the game, it is what it is. It's clearly not doing well. And the writing was on the wall from this game from the jump. I mean, obviously we knew that with all the delays, something was wrong here, but unfortunately, everything about that game just screams, you know, end of service coming. It could be next year, it could be the year after. It doesn't really matter, but it doesn't seem like things are going well for them. So with respect to that, there was probably a big investment made with that. Live service games cost a lot of money. You got to pay your employees. You got to constantly be developing the updates and stuff like that. It's not like it's a fixed cost. It's an ever increasing or ever persistent cost for them. So I think that was a big problem for them. And I think that's probably a big reason why the anniversary so far, you know, maybe they're kind of bunkering down and trying to figure out what they can do to kind of salvage that project. And in addition to that, I think Crossworlds too, a little bit of a different case where I think Crossworlds is a pretty solid game. I'm personally over it myself. Like, I don't really find myself wanting to play that game anymore. I'm kind of just over it, ready to move on to the next game. But the difference between that game, I think it was received well by critics and fans alike. Like, it got an 8 out of 10 on Metacritic. So I think that while that game was decent, like, it's good to see that Sonic Team can still make good games. I think that that game was, you know, and by all accounts, Sega's internal metrics and reporting and investor meetings. Apparently that game was a flop too. Maybe not as bad. I think it's an evergreen game. Like I think that's a evergreen seller. Like you don't judge that game maybe off of year one. Maybe it didn't meet their expectations for internal sales metrics, but I think it sold over 1 million copies. I'd have to guess right now it's probably at like 1.5 mil, maybe 2 mil. They probably announced that, so I don't know. So between those two games, which are huge, massive investments, I think that Sega's kind of focus is to make sure that they can right the ship on those two prior to, releasing more projects, doing more announcements, more spin-offs. I think that with the company not doing as well, you come off of the highs of 2022 with Frontiers, did really well. You had Speed Simulator pop on the scene, which did pretty well for them initially. You have, you had Origins, you had Prime, you had all this stuff, Movie 2. Things were looking really good for them. So I think they kind of splurged on spin-offs. And now I feel like the return on investment isn't there. So they're probably a little bit more hesitant to dip their toes into things. So I think that's the biggest reason why right now the 35th anniversary feels kind of stagnant. And here's the thing though. The thing about the 35th anniversary is that as lame as it's been, I think literally it's just been like, just the usual run-of-the-mill mobile game updates, comic book stuff, merchandise. Other than that, the sizzle reel at the beginning, it's been very quiet. And technically, here's the thing. Here's the saving grace behind all this. It's not Sonic's 35th anniversary yet. That's what I think people need to just be patient about and understand, is that June 23rd, if something big doesn't happen or some type of announcement, that's when I think we start hitting the panic button. Like, all right, if we don't get something by then you can kind of hit the panic button and say, okay, this anniversary isn't living up to our expectations. Right now, while it's true that it's not good, the fact of the matter is technically I think in terms of marketing, it probably has started because they did the sizzle reel and everything, and they're promoting it with the merchandise and whatnot as the 35th anniversary for the marketing tagline. So I think it has started internally, but realistically, we can't judge it. It's incomplete until June 23rd, 2026. That's the only thing that we can really say. We still have this IGN event where Roger Craig Smith has gone out and said, hey, Sonic fans, go watch it. And then he had to go walk it back and say, hey, it doesn't mean a Sonic game's coming. Doesn't mean Sonic's confirmed. And then that was just a weird situation. That was very weird. He's like, yeah, look forward to future Sonic projects. And then he came out and said, oh, no, that's actually not what I meant. I always thought that was weird. I don't know. I think he got the call. I don't think he misspoke. I think he just genuinely... Oh, my God. I got 1 ring less than what I was supposed to get. I literally had almost every ring in the stage other than the secret out-of-bounds ones. But... So you have the IGN event to look forward to. You have Summer Games Fest, which is in, 2 weeks? And then you have the possibility of a Sonic Central. There was leaks, although I never really go off of leaks unless it's officially... Unless it's confirmed by like a big leaker, I don't really go off of that. So we have 3 opportunities in June to basically either kickstart the real true celebration or save the anniversary, because all we have right now is the Frontiers Definitive Edition, which by all accounts, it's been kind of a roller coaster. It started off as Frontiers Definitive Edition, possible Switch 2 leak with some retailer leaks, and then they just randomly dropped the price for Frontiers on all platforms and updated the Steam description. And then a week or 2 later, they lower the price on Superstars. So their 2 flagship, like probably most recent mainline games, Frontiers, Superstars. I don't think they did it for Shadow, but Shadow was never even a full price game. Both got price cuts. So now it's like we go back to, okay, maybe Frontiers Definitive Edition is not actually what we think it is. And then another leaker comes out and says that Frontiers Definitive Edition, what is going on here? As of right now, is only a Switch 2 edition. So it's been very confusing. There's been a lot of mixed signals. So as of right now, it's starting to look a little concerning, but ultimately we cannot say anything until June 23rd. That's kind of that's my position right now. As of right now, if it's just Frontiers Definitive Edition and that's all we get, it could go one of two ways. If it's Frontiers and it's not just on Switch 2, then that's a good thing. And we get content, then okay, that probably satisfies our appetite for Sonic content. I would say, at least for me. If you get like an extra campaign in Frontiers with some additional content, and it's enough to hold this over, I'm cool with it. If it's like 5 hours, 6 hours of content, that's not bad when you consider the length of most Sonic games. So, but I think the problem is with that is that it seems like that's all but likely to not be the case. It seems like Switch 2 Edition is all that we know so far. That's all the retailer leaks for Frontiers Definitive Edition have just been Switch 2 versions. So, and I don't think just a Switch 2 version would be the only thing that gets content. That would just be dumb. I don't even know what's definitive about a Frontier Switch 2 Edition, because the fact of the matter is that the Switch 2 is not, it's not going to run better than the PC. So what is definitive about that? So, like I said, there's multiple ways to look at it. One, it's a little concerning that all we've gotten was Frontier's Definitive Edition. But also, in the same token, until January 23rd hits, we can't say anything, because you know what happens when these new Sonic games come out. The news comes hard and it comes fast. Like, oh my god, I just died. Like, when a new Sonic game gets announced, we put out like 4 or 5 long-form videos in the same day because there's just news coming out every second. So, with that being said, when it does happen, it's going to be a lot of stuff at once, and it's going to be overwhelming. So I'm not worried about it. And personally, I do want Sonic Team to take their time on the next mainline game. I would just like them to kind of give us a nudge. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what's happening. Give us a Sonic Central. Let us know that everything's going to be okay, because everyone is kind of freaking out. But long term, not worried. But as far as like the quote-unquote 35th, I'm a little... The panic button's starting to get... I keep dying. I suck at this game. The panic button's starting to get there. Because all I feel like most people care about right now is obviously Movie 4, but I think the next mainline game, like the follow-up to Frontiers. Frontiers was a huge, massive success for Sega, despite the fact that some people, dislike Frontiers. And I get it. I understand some of the game design choices, whatever. Doesn't really matter. It's not what we're talking about. But I think that all eyes are basically on the sequel to Frontiers. And based off of the way that this anniversary's going, based off of the just like announcement time frame between how Sonic Frontiers 1 was... Oh my, am I dead? I'm dead. Based off of the timeline with how Frontiers 1 was handled, like we got Frontiers 1 in May 2021, I think was the first initial reveal. The game came out in November 2022. Now, I don't know if that's due to like Sega having to push back the game because, it wasn't ready or whatnot, because, we've seen... Dude, what is going on with this game? We've seen that was, like they were supposed to launch that game in 21 and it clearly wasn't ready. Like it wasn't even supposed to be a platformer like a year before development. I don't know how that ran it, made it that far into dev, but based off of the timeline of how we've gotten news and just like what's been going on, we're cooked on Frontiers 2 releasing. Dude. We are cooked on Frontiers 2 releasing in 26. I think that's all but confirmed. Like, it's not happening. And that's okay. I'm actually more than okay with that. I'd rather Frontiers 2 be really good and be really replayable and feed us for the next 5 years if that's going to be the, timeline release schedule. So that's fine. But basically, I think we have maybe a little bit of time before we get the announcement. I hope it's in June. If we don't get the Frontiers 2 announcement by next month, even just like a snippet or a teaser, then that would also be really disappointing as well. Like if it hits the 23rd anniversary and all we get, June 23rd, and all we get is a meme from the social media team and that's it, and we don't know what the next game is, that would kind of suck. Like, I don't care if it gets announced or released in 2027 or 2028 for that matter. I would like to know that, it's alive and well. Like, I'd like to know what the title's called. We are getting close to this being a mid-anniversary. We're this close, but like I said, I'm not being negative because I do feel like there's still time. You can't have a conclusive like thought on what this anniversary is until that day. Last thing I'll also say with respect to this is the release of Superstars. So think about how we got Superstars announced, Shadow announced in June, and then got the release in October. So that's kind of the only saving grace, I think, since Frontiers 2 obviously isn't happening this year. For like, there's still a possibility we could get a Sonic release this year. It could still be a spin-off. But here's where I'll push back a little bit though, and kind of feel like that's not going to happen, is because we still have the Sonic Blitz game coming out this year. Let's not forget, that could be the spin-off game that we get this year, you know? Like, this all comes back to the Rovio live service bet, mobile, multiplayer kind of like flop scenario that Sega has on their hands. We have the Rumble flop. We have Cross Worlds not exceeding expectations or meeting expectations. Whatever. I don't know if I can call that game necessarily a flop. But we also have Sonic Blitz. Like, that could be the game. Sega, they must be regretting this Rovio purchase. I don't know. I have no idea what the revenue is like for Angry Bird. I have no idea what their plans are with that. But I think the Rovio factor is kind of hampering down this anniversary a bit. So if we don't get some type of Sonic remaster or spin-off for this year, partly due to the fact that it just might be Frontiers Definitive Edition for the Switch 2, which I'm hoping that it's just a little more than just a Switch 2 port. You know, Blitz might also be just the spin-off, and then that's it. So it's not that it's over yet. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but we're very close. So that's kind of my thoughts right now on the 35th anniversary. I'm holding out hope. We have like a month or two before we start hitting the panic button. For now, just, you know, enjoy Sonic for what it is. Replay the games that you like, and if not, go find another franchise to enjoy for a little bit while Sonic's hibernating. He's just taking a little nap, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I haven't been as active on my main channel, but I'd like to be back on this channel to do more side projects and just calm, chill content, just kind of get my thoughts off. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the 35th, and let me know if you guys want more of these type of just off the cuff videos.